Hi guys, welcome back to Under the Radar Books. I'm Brittany and today I want to do a book haul. I'm going to split it into two parts because it's kind of out of control. And to say that I have been buying books recently is an understatement. This isn't even the beginning of it. We got our tax return back and my husband spent some money on some gym equipment, and so he said that I could have a certain amount of money to spend on whatever I wanted. And so at first I was just gonna buy a couple books that I've been eyeing, new books that I have wanted and didn't want to spend the money on. And then as I kept looking, I just kept finding more and more things to get, and so I ended up spending all the money on books. So there's really no surprise there, but it's my favorite thing to buy and I never regret it. So recently I've also discovered a couple of wonderful used bookstores that are fairly close to me, about half an hour away. And I've been there a couple times recently, so I've grabbed some things here and there, and they are so wonderful. I love supporting local indie bookstores, so the majority of these are from there. So the first thing that I grabbed was From the Land of the Moon by Milena Agus. And this is published by Europa, which does translated works. And this was translated from Italian by Anne Goldstein. And it's a really small little book. I tend to grab Europas like whenever I find them used or at charity shops or things like that, because I have yet to read one that I didn't like. This is about an elderly woman looking back on her life and the first love that she had, and then as an older woman she travels back to Milan, where she originally had her first love, and kind of revisits those memories, and I think they might run into each other again. It says, charming, romantic, and entrancing. It's easy to see why it's a bestseller in Europe. So I'm really interested to see the history behind this and just to see what it's all about. Next up, I grabbed The Explorer by James Smythe, I'm not sure. And this is very similar to The Martian, but it was written before The Martian. I heard about this on a podcast. I think it was the Reader's Podcast maybe, a while back, and it says, when journalist Cormac Easton is selected to document the first manned mission into deep space, he dreams of securing his place in history as one of humanity's great explorers. But in space, nothing goes according to plan. The crew wake from hypersleep to discover their captain dead in his allegedly fail-proof safety pod. They mourn, and Cormac sends a beautifully written eulogy back to Earth. The word from ground control is, no matter what happens, the mission must continue. But as the body count begins to rise, Cormac finds himself alone and spiraling towards his own inevitable death, unless he can do something to stop it. So this sounds haunting and really interesting. I'm excited to check it out. Next up, I grabbed City of Saints and Madmen by Jeff Vandermeer. I read and loved the Southern Reach trilogy by the same author, and so this is another one of his series, I believe. There's two in the book, or two in the series out right now. I don't really know much about it, but just because I enjoyed his other series so much, I really want to check this one out. It's technically a fantasy series, so I'm really curious. It's very hefty. It's so heavy. So I think this will be one that takes me a while, but I'm definitely excited to see what it is all about. Next, I grabbed The Midwich, Cuckoos by John Wyndham. I love John Wyndham, and I loved this edition of this. And this is about a small village where one day everyone just basically like passes out or falls asleep, and when they wake up, all of the women in the town are pregnant, and they give birth to these like blonde-haired, blue-eyed babies, and I think it has something to do with an alien race or something along those lines. So I'm really excited to read more John Wyndham and to pick up the rest of his books. Next up, I picked up a copy of My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, which has been making the rounds on BookTube quite a bit recently. There's been so much hype around it. Ferrante fever is everywhere. This is also published by Europa, and it is book one of the Neapolitan novels. It is also translated by Anne Goldstein, and I know this is the story of two close friends, and it kind of is like a big family saga, and it follows them throughout their lifetime, and I've just heard wonderful things about it, and so I've been looking for it used for a long time, but the indie bookstore near me had it new, and I just decided to bite the bullet and buy it because I'm really looking forward to reading it. Next, at a local used bookstore, I found Pretty Monster Stories by Kelly Link, and this was recommended to me by Chelsea over at the Reading Outlaw. I told her I was kind of like in a book funk and that I needed something light and interesting, and so she suggested this. I have a couple other Kelly Link books, adult short stories, but this is a YA one, so I really love the cover. And I don't know what the stories are about. I'm assuming they're magical realism, almost like fairy tale tellings, and just kind of strange and odd, and I'm really looking forward to picking this one up. Then I grabbed Etiquette and Espionage, Finishing School Book the First by Gail Carriger. And this was also recommended by Chelsea. This is another YA book about a girl who gets sent to a school where they're taught, where she thinks she's going to be taught to be like a lady and be taught manners and things like that, but it actually turns out that she is turned into like an assassin. And so this sounds really cool, and I'm really excited to pick it up and just kind of pick up something that's a little bit easier to get into and just has a really fast storyline. So the last book in this part 1 of my book haul is Sunflower by Gyula Krudy. This was translated from Hungarian by John Batke. And I just randomly picked this up at a used bookstore, and the cover really drew me in, and it looks kind of dark and haunting. It's about a young woman who leaves the city to go live in the country to escape a lost love that she has. And it says that it's very haunting and mythical, and it just sounds really interesting. I really like the things that NYRB puts out, and so they make really great books. They're such good quality and really sturdy, and so I had to go ahead and grab this one as well. So that is the first part of my book haul. I hope you guys found maybe some new things you haven't heard of yet, or if you've read any of these, I would love to know what you thought about them, so leave me some comments down below. Until next time, happy reading, guys.